What if trust no longer mattered? What if kindness was seen as weakness and manipulation became virtue? Welcome to a world where everyone follows Machiavelli. Would it be efficient? Niccolò Machiavelli, born in Florence in 1469, a civil servant, diplomat, philosopher, and survivor in one of the most politically unstable periods in European history. Italy at the time was not a unified country, but a battlefield of competing city-states. Florence, Venice, Milan, Rome, Naples, each ruled by different princes, families, or foreign kings. Assassinations, betrayals, invasions. It was not a question of if, but when. In this storm of chaos, Machiavelli observed a brutal truth. That goodness alone will get you crushed. And so he wrote The Prince, not as a dream, but as a manual for the real world. A world where power is not given to the righteous, but seized by the cunning. He wrote, "It is better to be feared than loved if you cannot be both." Men judge generally more by the eye than by the hand. Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few experience what you really are. A prince never lacks legitimate reasons to break his promise. He did not write for kings who wanted to be loved. He wrote for those who wanted to win, and win at any cost. But what happens if everyone becomes the prince? In a Machiavellian world, no one is honest unless it's useful. Children are taught not to feel, but to calculate. Parents smile but plan. Friendships exist only when both sides benefit. Romance is just a power dynamic. Marriage is a negotiation. Empathy is a liability. Every interaction becomes a stage play, where the actors wear masks to survive. You can't afford to believe in the good of others, because no one else does. Everyone plays the game, and if you don't, you lose. But this society isn't chaotic. It's stable in its own way, efficient, controlled, strategic. People don't waste time on virtue signals. They sharpen their mind, study psychology, learn influence, persuasion, manipulation. They don't cry over betrayal, they expect it. And in that world, something dark but effective emerges. No one is naive, and no one is exploited, because exploitation is a two-player game, and everyone is playing. But this world doesn't just reward petty liars and schemers, because to thrive as a true Machiavellian, you must become disciplined. Being a backstabber is not enough. The rats don't rule kingdoms. The lions do. The Machiavellian man is not emotional. He is calm, cold, clear. He doesn't lie from fear. He lies because it gets results. He doesn't reveal his intentions because intentions are weapons, and you don't hand those out for free. He watches before moving. He speaks less, but says more. He prepares for betrayal before it happens, and he never assumes loyalty without leverage. Machiavelli wrote, "The lion cannot protect himself from traps, and the fox cannot defend himself from wolves. One must therefore be a fox to recognize traps and a lion to frighten wolves. He must be both, the cunning fox and the terrifying lion." This man doesn't seek morality, he seeks domination, and in this world, he is rewarded. But Machiavellianism is not without precedent. History is filled with rulers who fell because they refused to play the game. Take King Louis XVI of France. He believed in divine right, in the loyalty of his people, in the fairness of tradition. But the people were starving. The nobles were restless. And when the time came to act decisively, he hesitated. He tried to appease, to compromise, to wait. He waited too long, and the revolution answered with a blade. The guillotine ended not only his reign, but the world he believed in. Because in politics, weakness is not forgiven. It's punished, and the lesson echoed through history. Those who fail to understand power are destroyed by it. But you don't need a throne to be Machiavellian. Today, it's everywhere. In business, executives make decisions that ruin lives, then smile for the cameras. In politics, candidates promise change, then serve their donors. On social media, influencers sell ideals they don't live by. In the workplace, some colleagues help, only to take credit later. We don't call it Machiavellianism, we call it networking. Strategy, branding. But the tactics are the same. Manipulate perception, control appearances, Say what people want to hear until you don't need them anymore. In many ways, the Machiavellian world isn't a what if, it's a mirror. And still, this world has limits. Because when everyone manipulates, trust dies. And when trust dies, nothing works. Contracts mean nothing without belief. Alliances fall apart. Friendships vanish. Love becomes theater. What's left is paranoia, fear, loneliness. Even the strong start looking over their shoulder. You win the game, but lose your soul. You survive, but never live. Because if everyone is a tactician, there are no teammates left, only rivals. And eventually society becomes a web of false smiles and broken oaths, until it collapses. Nearly every religion speaks against this path. Christianity teaches, love your neighbor as yourself. Do not lie. Do not bear false witness. Blessed are the meek. Islam commands justice, humility, and truth even against oneself. Judaism exalts righteousness and moral courage. Buddhism teaches that clinging to control, greed, and deception leads to suffering. Even the Bhagavad Gita says, one who acts without attachment, in harmony with the divine, achieves peace. Religion reminds us that manipulation is short-term, that truth is eternal, because power gained through lies is a prison. You must keep lying to hold it. You must live in fear of being exposed, and that is not power, that is slavery. Even Jesus, when offered the kingdoms of the world, refused. He chose to stand in truth, even if it meant crucifixion, because he understood, power without soul is not strength, it's sickness. So what is the lesson? Machiavelli told us how to win in the dark, but he never asked, what happens if we bring in the light? The truth is, to lie is to fear your reality. To manipulate is to admit that your value isn't enough. To deceive is to serve your weakness, not your strength. Because real power, true power, is not about controlling others. It is about mastering yourself. Power is in the truth. It is in the man who does not blink, who stands his ground, who sees the world as it is, but refuses to let it make him hollow. To be strategic is wise. To be fearless is necessary. But to be faithful to truth, even when surrounded by liars, that is the mark of a man who rules not only kingdoms, but himself. And that kind of power cannot be taken, because it comes from within.